Welcome to Beyond the Mask. Today, we've got a very special guest joining us, someone you all know, but maybe you haven't had the chance to hear in a more personal way. We're sitting down with Jeff Molter, the current president of the AANA. Jeff's leadership style is rooted in connection, listening, and making sure CRNAs across the country feel seen and heard. In this conversation, he opens up about his journey, the challenges and opportunities he sees for our profession, and what keeps him motivated as he leads at the national level. It's not just about policy and strategy, it's about the heart behind the role. And Jeff brings that to the table in a way that's both inspiring and down to earth. So settle in. Our chat with AANA President Jeff Molter starts right now.
CRNA Financial Planning is a sponsor of Beyond the Mask podcast. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group. Nothing in this podcast should be construed as investment advice. Plus, did you know listening to our podcast can earn you Class B credits? For details on how to submit, visit the CE credit section at beyondthemaskpodcast.com. Welcome to Beyond the Mask, innovation and opportunities for CRNAs and advanced practice nurses, with certified financial planner Jeremy Stanley and CRNA Sharon Pierce. Jeremy Stanley has worked with CRNAs for more than 23 years, and Sharon Pierce is a former president of the AANA and the NCANA. Join us as we leave the operating room and learn the latest in the CRNA and advanced practice nurse industries. Beyond the Mask starts in 10, 9, 8, 7.
Jeff, welcome back. It's good to see you here in North Carolina.
It's good to be back, Jeremy. Sharon, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Have you been to Wilmington before?
Never. First time.
And all you get to see basically is the inside of a hotel. We're so sorry.
Still nice. You got beautiful weather, sunshine. Everybody here has been friendly and kind, and, seeing the waterfront here, and it's been great. It's been nice being here.
You saw our battleship right out here?
Yes, I did. A lot of history here.
Good. So you obviously taking over from Jan, a lot going on, and you're going all around the country right now and doing these little, I'm going to call them dog and pony shows, meeting and greeting,
kissing
babies, shaking hands. You're in the throes of it. So, and it's always good to catch up. We try to do this with AANA presidents, learn about what's going on, what are the priorities, what's going on with the board, and just bring the members up to date. So,
and then in a few years, after the PTSD is gone, we'll tape you for the Courage to Lead series.
Yeah, the historical series.
Well, what's going to be the big it for Jeff? We'll find out. So, we were in Nashville. What a awesome meeting. I don't know what your thoughts were, but I thought it was amazing.
That was the greatest AANA annual meeting I've ever been to. I've been a member for 26 years. I've probably been to 15 annual congresses, and just an awesome meeting. There was so much energy, huge attendance, fun. A lot of great activities. The rooftop parties, the foundation had the karaoke night, and it was great. And I feel like as colleagues, we all got reconnected, and even from the standpoint of the business meeting, it flowed very smoothly. There, wasn't a lot of contention. People weren't arguing. It was a great meeting. And as you said earlier, I'd be amiss not to talk about Jan Setnor. Being on the board with Jan Setnor the last 5 years has been a life-altering experience for me. Her leadership ability and how she would handle tough situations. I learned so much from Jan, and she's awesome, and I'm very fortunate to have served as president-elect under Jan.
It's lifelong relationships that you build. Juan Quintana was my president-elect, and we'll be friends for life. And Dennis Bless was in front of me. Dennis and I were an unlikely pair, but we got along
well, you
terrific.
And Juan were an unlikely
we were an unlikely pair too. But you spend so much time with these people, and you learn so much from each other. It's a bonding experience. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and when you're fighting the common fight together, and you're together, like you said, in the trenches. You become very close with people. And being on the board, as you know, I mean, we don't always see eye to eye or agree on things, but at the end of the day, we're still a board. And when we make a decision, it's a unified decision from our organization. And, I think I heard Tracy Young say it on one of your podcasts. This is really a team sport. It's the ultimate team sport. I mean, this is about the board of directors. So,
yeah. And I mean, it's just interesting. I've known Jeff now, gosh, Jess, I don't know, 15 years maybe?
A long time.
I mean,
actually, you knew him better than I
you did in the beginning,
Yes, because you had been friends with him longer. I just knew we had our picture made together after my business meeting in Utah, and he sent it to me today, and guess what? I have on the exact same
He showed
suit.
it to me.
The exact
was so
same
funny.
suit.
Yeah, this is a great story for our listeners. So, when I was the president of our Ohio Association, I went to the annual Congress in Utah, and Sharon Pierce was the president of the AANA at the time, and she had a very long business meeting, 4 to 6 hours, and she's wearing this nice red dress, and I have this picture that I took with her, and she was kind enough to take a picture with me afterwards. Like, she didn't know who I was just one of the 3,000 people that were there, but she took a picture with me, and I sent it to her today, and we were cracking up because she's wearing the same dress from 11 years ago. You could still fit into your dress. The gray suit that I had on, I am not fitting into that gray suit. I still have it, but I don't think I could fit in it. Maybe that'll be my goal.
That's it.
Maybe at annual Congress this year, I'll have the gray suit on.
There you go.
We could reenact the photo.
Absolutely. I'm up for it. So you're coming up to the fall. I think there's something happening. Y'all are doing the boot camps. Is that right?
Yeah.
Fall?
And again, hats off to Jan Setnor. She re-implemented the AANA boot camp for state leaders last year, a 3-day conference in Chicago at our headquarters. We brought in state president-elect. We invited all the state president-elects. I think we had maybe 85 attendees last year, and it was incredible. Learned about governance, learned about team building, learned about personalities and how they generate decision-making and things like that. Of course, we have our governance expert, Jamie Orlikoff, who's a world-renowned governance expert. He's written books, he's written tons of articles, but he led a lot of the discussions, and we're bringing that back this year, and we'll be in Chicago, I believe, in 2 weeks, and it's going to be great. And I also think that we got a lot of positive comments from the people that attended last year, that the board members intermingled with all the state leaders, and it kind of helps everyone get to know each other, and it makes leadership maybe less impersonal. People exchange, business cards, phone numbers, funds had by all, but it was great, and it was so great that we're bringing it back this year. And, Tracy Young, made the comment too that, we talk a lot about basic board governance, but once that becomes like the standard, then you can start looking at those other high-end, high-level things that you can focus on instead of like basic board governance and things like that. So,
yeah. What's old is new again. We used to do those years ago, and people loved them then.
Yeah. Yeah. And Orlikoff, you mentioned him, and he's amazing. Like, I sat through his governance meeting with the foundation, and it was actually interesting.
Oh,
I mean,
cool.
I'd never been in one that was interesting before.
Oh, come on.
Jeremy is 100% correct.
It was
in
great.
All the years I've been on state boards and the national board, governance is a hard topic to stay focused on, and Jamie Orlikoff makes it so interesting. He brings in real live excerpts from the news, the media of boards,
fun.
Dysfunctional boards, making mistakes that come back and haunt organizations. He actually kind of scares you because you're like, wow, there's a lot of responsibility on this board. And if we're not doing our responsibilities, our fiduciary responsibilities, I mean, it can have catastrophic outcomes. So.
Well, I could say the AANA staff has always been exceptional at finding the right consultants. We had a governance specialist, Les Wallace, and he was excellent. So they're always good about finding the right people at the right time.
And I could give hats off to Jan again. I'm going to have Jan listen to this. But Jan actually came across Jamie Orlikoff at, I believe, the American Hospital Association, their rural conference that they had, she met Jamie Orlikoff there, and she's like, we got to get this guy into the AANA and get him in the fold, and she has gotten him in, and this is, I think, his second year that he's going to be working with us, and he's just incredible. Like Jeremy said, he works with the foundation board as well.
Yeah. So Jeff, a lot going on, obviously, as always in your world, but let's talk a little bit about haircuts and ones that, we weren't expecting. Maybe we want to talk about that 15% from United Healthcare.
Oh, geez. Yeah,
What's going on with that?
It's really unbelievable that, it's in federal law that you can't discriminate against providers based on their education and training. That was part of the Affordable Care Act. It was part of the No Surprises Act. And about 2 years ago, we saw Cigna, who's a smaller insurance company, start off with reimbursing CRNAs that provide non-medically directed anesthesia care. They implemented a 15% cut there. We knew that it was very important that they not be allowed to do that because they're breaking the law. But if the federal government is not enforcing the federal law, then guess what happens? Other insurance companies follow. Because why? Because of profits. Recently, United Healthcare, they announced a couple months ago they were implementing this 15% cut starting October 1st. A rough calculation we came up with, they were going to make an additional $400-some million by implementing this 15% cut by discriminating against CRNAs. I mean, you guys know we study from the same textbooks. We practice the same standard of care as physician anesthesiologists. We don't give you 15% less care when you come in.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it.
And here they are. They're implementing this cut, and the government has failed to act.
Hey, I'm looking at the chart, and if you've got United Healthcare, I'm only going to give you half the anesthetic. How about that? No, I mean, and just so CRNAs understand, I mean, it's not like you're going to get a 15% pay cut, but where's the money coming from, Jeff? I mean, that's the problem.
So Jeremy makes a great point here. So I would beg to say that most CRNAs are employees of hospitals, surgery centers, anesthesia companies, and they typically get paid a daily rate or an hourly rate. So a typical CRNA is not going to see that cut. However, when you're providing that service, you're signing over your billing rights to that said hospital or surgery center or endoscopy center. They're going to get the 15% cut in the reimbursement for your services. So now that has to be made up someplace or another. So what ends up happening is something called a stipend gets paid, and now you're going to need more of a stipend. Rural facilities, rural hospitals, places that use CRNA-only models, they're going to be affected the most. I mean, that's a 15% cut on already razor-thin margins. So this is huge.
And that just adds to, I mean, we just obviously had a tax bill passed this year that cut Medicaid funding and Medicare funding. Rural facilities are struggling already.
Feeling the crunch.
I mean, that's going to affect the longer term of this as well.
Absolutely.
The ASA should be with us on this, one would assume, because that means if they are in an ACT model, that whole model is going to get a 15% cut.
I agree. And you would think that one area that the AANA and the ASA could agree on would be reimbursement. I think both organizations should be pushing for full reimbursement. And unfortunately, the ASA, they actually filed an amicus brief when we had our lawsuit in federal court, essentially saying that they agreed with the 50% cut.
No kidding. Yeah. I mean, talk about to cut your nose off to spite your face.
100%. But
wow.
The funny thing with the ASA, though, is now they're making a lot of noise because United Healthcare also said they were going to cut some of the other modifiers like ASA4s and things like that. They're going to cut the payment to those as well, which whether you're in a QZ model or a non-QZ model, that's going to affect everybody. So, just my opinion, the ASA should be behind full reimbursement for all anesthesia services. I don't know why they wouldn't be.
Wow.
If they're going to cut modifiers, where will the AANA fall on that? Mm-hmm. I mean, because that will also affect us, because last I checked, I still do 3s, 4s.
Absolutely.
It's no different.
Right.
They're not jumping in to do those cases.
Are you a resident or CRNA looking to transition into independent practice? The AANA and Beyond the Mask are here to help you thrive as your own boss. Introducing the 1099 CRNA Institute, taught by Beyond the Mask host Jeremy Stanley and Sharon Pierce. This comprehensive educational series provides detailed guidance on business structure, legal and tax implications, and financial management tailored specifically for 1099 CRNAs. Lean into the feeling of freedom and embrace the opportunity to be your own boss with the AANA as your partner on this exciting journey toward independence. Enroll now and earn valuable continuing education credits as you chart a new course in your rewarding career. Visit aana.com/1099 to learn more and take the first step toward your new future. The 1099 CRNA Institute. Thrive as your own boss.
You guys want to go ahead and talk about the mandamus case?
Yeah, let's do that.
So the AANA, we actually filed a case in federal court in Cleveland. It was a little over a year ago, but it's called a writ of mandamus. I've never heard about this before. This is lawyer talk. But essentially, we filed a lawsuit in federal court trying to compel the judicial system to compel the federal government to enforce the law. We filed this case over a year ago, and we finally heard back from the judge, and the case is being dismissed by the judge. When she dismissed the case, she filed, a briefing on their reasons for dismissing the case, and we actually are going to appeal this. So you'll see in the next couple weeks some actions from us. And the interesting thing is when this case was filed by us, it was all, and this is just for me, I'm not an attorney, but all the arguments were written and all the supporting documents were written. I believe in an appeal, we may have a chance for oral arguments. So I think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, Jeff, a lot going on.
It's all good.
But you know what? I'm just going to say it again. Follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All of this is about the money.
Yep.
It's just so interesting to watch everything that goes on in the AANA, the NCANA, and anesthesia in general, the ASA versus...
You've got a ringside seat.
About the money. I mean, when you boil it all down. So very, very interesting. So another exciting initiative, the APRNs are now, what are we calling that group in the something membership? I can't remember what it's called. Associate membership, maybe? I can't remember.
Well, no, regular students are associate members.
Regular students are associates.
Or residents.
Residents, yes.
I can't remember. I think we're just calling them the APRN RN category.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was a bylaw change that went into effect last year. The membership voted on this, that we could allow RNs and APRNs to become members of the ANA. And it passed a little over a year ago at the business meeting. And the first year, we were anticipating maybe 500 new members of the organization in the first year. And as of now, we have over 1,700 RN, APRN members. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. And you guys know, coming to the state meetings, you are seeing the face of the audience change a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you went back 20 years, I would say that 90% of your audience were CRNAs,
Yes.
10% were students or residents, and now I think that's flipped. Now we're seeing 70, 80% that are students. We're seeing maybe 5-10% that are RNs, and a very small portion are CRNAs. It's just the dynamic. And the last 4 weekends I've been to 4 different state meetings, and this is consistent across from what I've seen in the other states. So
Actually, we interviewed a gal this morning who is speaking here at this meeting, and her first meeting she came as an RN on her own.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And now she did 2 lectures at this meeting.
As a CRNA?
She's a
RNA.
RRNA.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So now the board has 2 new board members on it. So you've expanded the number on the board. How's that going?
It's going great. We have 2 more regions now, so we have a total of 9 regions. The regions out west were broken up a little bit more and make it more manageable. And that's obviously more board members, more opinions, which isn't always bad, but I think it's great. I think it's great. I mean, for an organization now that has almost 70,000 members, I think our board is probably going to maybe keep growing over the next 10 years if we stay up at this pace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did Sandy say? 152 schools, 15 that are in
review.
I mean, you look at that. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Huge.
I mean, we're graduating, 2,500, 3,000 a year now.
3,000 a year,
So you're looking at probably 3,500 a year when these come online. I mean,
Oh, I know your little brain's doing all that math real quickly. I know how you work.
Yeah, I mean it's wonderful to watch, and to Jeff's point, I mean, you do see the faces looking different at these meetings, and the tone is different,
including mine.
Well,
Why'd you look
yours
at
always
me?
looks the same.
That was
Jeff
the right
showed
answer.
the picture from what was it, 2011?
No, it was
15.
15, and you look the same, Sharon. You're wearing the same outfit.
11 years. 11 years. Same CRNA pin.
Everything.
Yeah.
My shoes are different.
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe the shoes.
My shoes are different. There was a story about my shoes at the meeting because Patrick Downey, one of the icons in our organization, he told me when I took over the reins as president, he said, "You better pull out those red shoes, Madam President. You're going to need them." So I had on red shoes. Little did I know I might want to click them because I wanted to go home, but not that I needed to keep running. Talk about the bylaw change about the board that went through at this.
Yeah, that was huge. I know you guys had Tracy Young on earlier this year to talk about the bylaw that was being presented to the members, which was allowing the AANA Board of Directors to actually enact a policy that would allow us to remove a board member that is ineffective, non-productive. We have a whole list of things listed that it would take to remove that board member, including, it would require a two-thirds vote of the board to remove that person. And up until now, I'm going to be honest with you, I was very shocked when I came on the board 6 years ago because on our state association board in Ohio, we did have a process for removing ineffective board members. And when I got to the AANA, I'm like, if we have ineffective board members, are you telling me that we're stuck with them?
Oh, yes, you are.
We're stuck with ineffective board members, which doesn't seem right to me, but it was explained to me that due to the Illinois law that when you have a board member voted on by a membership, in order to remove them, you have to have another vote of the membership. So now you're talking about if someone is, doing something that's unethical or not appropriate, I mean, you can't put that out to the membership to get someone voted off. So it just created this cycle of you could have people that were ineffective or just not good board members, and it makes it hard to govern an association when you have those dynamics around. And now that we have this policy in place, I mean, I will say that it's almost like you're going to be held almost to a higher standard as a board member because there's that ability for your fellow board members to vote you off the board.
And you know what? That's not a bad thing.
No,
not
it's
a bad
not.
thing.
Not a bad thing at all.
It's just this accountability.
I mean, and I thought it was a smart thing to do. Trying to get the membership to vote on anything is tough. I mean, it's basically the 90-10, 95-5 rule in most scenarios. And if you can't tell them why, I mean, so that needed to be made at the board level for sure. So now I know last year you guys did something that I thought was pretty neat. You flew in all the past presidents to Chicago, had a big meeting with them. And to me, that's wonderful because Jeff, you and Jan and Tracy and all those folks need to know what happened on their boards and how they can help you guys in what's going on today. So I think you're going to do that again, right?
That is correct, Jeremy. So we're going to do another meeting with the past presidents this year. It's going to be a little different. We're going to do more of a virtual format via Zoom, but it's going to be, we're going to have people from the AANA talking about what's going on at the AANA. Myself and Tracy will give them maybe updates and reports on what the board is doing. And it was absolutely crucial bringing in the past presidents because for me, what I've seen in the last so many years of the business meetings, a lot of times the board of directors is trying to implement a change or something like that, and the past presidents maybe come up to the microphone and have a big disagreement. So why not talk about those things in advance and try to work out the differences? And I kind of feel like we did that last year with the past presidents because when we met with them, we actually talked about this bylaw change, which would give us this policy to remove a board member. And sitting with all these past presidents that were all in various situations, when everyone started talking, at first we had some people like, oh, I don't know if that would have went so well my year, and maybe that would have been great my year. Mm-hmm. But in the end, the past presidents were like, you know what? This sounds like something we should have. Yeah. So it was great, and this was another Jan Setnor idea. When Jan had the idea of bringing all the past presidents to Chicago, I was like, oh man, I'm not sure, Jan, but it
You sat in any of those meetings of those past presidents?
Yeah, that's
Jan?
right. That's right. So,
I've heard about them,
and it was great. Just like the boot camp. I mean, we had dinner with the past presidents. We hung out on a social level. It wasn't just let's sit in a boardroom for 6 hours and get reports. It was let's have dinner together. Let's have a glass of wine. Let's talk about some good times, bad times, and just meeting people. I mean, there's so many awesome people in this organization. And it's truly an honor. I mean, I was getting autographs in my book from past presidents, and it was great.
Sharon, did he get your autograph?
I don't remember, but Jeff can get anything of mine that he wants. It doesn't matter. But even for me, sitting in that room, it was a little intimidating. Mm-hmm. You know, sitting in that room with the people who dug wells before I was digging wells.
100%.
Sandy always says.
And it's weird to see across the timelines, too, that, you know, Sandy Ouellette was talking about how, you know, back in the 80s with direct reimbursement, there was no internet, there were no cell phones. I mean, it was, you were doing things with telephones, you're doing things with handwritten letters, and you know, the times have changed for us technologically, but at the end of the day, we're still about CRNA advocacy and doing the best we can for our members. So like that came through loud and clear in that meeting of the past presidents.
Well, I'll tell you a little story. I was PR committee chair for Terry Wicks in 97 to 98. He was state president, North Carolina, and he had went to the boot camp that AANA had, and he comes back and he says to me, Sharon, we were told by AANA we've got to have a website for our state. And I said, what's that? What's that? I had a word processor. You didn't have a computer.
Right.
Internet had just kind of become a thing. So I had to set up a website, and I had never seen one. Luckily, there was a CRNA who was a geek, and he helped me set up our website. So then Terry calls me. He says, Sharon, all people who work in the organization at the state level have to have an email address. You're going to have to learn how to do email.
That is hilarious.
And so I sent him an email, the first one whenever I got all hooked up, everything. And he calls me and he said, Pierce, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. Why? He goes, are you having a seizure? No, Terry. Why would you say that? He said, you just sent the same email to me 5 times. And I said, well, I don't know how to tell.
That's hilarious.
How it went through. That was just 1998.
Wow.
You reminded me of a story of my wife's aunt, who's 95 years old, that when she started sending text messages, she would then pick up the phone and call to see if you got the text message. Did you get my text message? She's like, how am I supposed to know you got my text message?
That's
Boy,
right.
That sounds like my mom. She'll send me a text message, and if I don't answer her right back, she sends like 12 question marks. I mean, literally within 30 seconds. I'm like,
did you get that?
Mom, I hadn't even looked at my phone yet.
Yeah.
And then she'll call twice.
Well, think about what Sandy was saying. Even whenever I first started at the state level and I chaired a committee, we had to prepare typewritten reports for the board. You had to mail them in. You had to mail them to all of your committee members. And then whenever we got a fax, wow, we could if they had a recipient fax, you could do that. But think about somebody like Sandy Marie, who has gone from what she did to now. Sandy, this morning she was texting me. I had just rolled out of bed. And she, Sharon, you need to see if Jeff can come to the Wake Forest reception tonight. Already texting me. So she's learned how to do
adapted.
Zoom.
She's adapted, yeah.
Hey, she does the podcast and Zoom, and I mean, she's, it's awesome.
And if you translate this into the anesthesia world too, I mean, I've been practicing for 26 years. I am not practicing like I was 26 years ago. New equipment, new technology, Epic, fiber optic is kind of gone out, and we've got video laryngoscopes. These ultrasound machines, I don't know if you guys have seen these lately. I was at a state meeting a couple weeks ago, and they had the new ultrasound that is like identifying nerves for you.
You talked about that.
It's unbelievable.
Wow,
it's unbelievable.
Crazy. Well, Jeff, a lot going on as we kind of wrap up here. Anything you want to close on with our listeners?
No, I just think we're living in an exciting time. The AANA has, the membership is the most I've ever seen it. Almost 90% of CRNAs in the country are members. I would love it if we had 100% that were all members. And for those of you that are listening, you most likely are a member, but maybe there are people in your work environment that are not members. And maybe you can kindly talk to them about becoming a member, because I honestly believe if it wasn't for the AANA, we wouldn't exist. I mean, the fights that the AANA has put out there for us, over the last 90-some years have put us in the position that we're in today. This is a great time for us, and we're going to keep moving forward. It's exciting.
Well, Jeff, we want to thank you for being on again. It's always a pleasure to see you, buddy, and good luck with the rest of your presidential year. I know there'll be some unexpected things thrown your way, but no doubt you can handle it. And thanks for all the things you do for CRNAs. I mean, people that don't know Jeff really don't know how thoughtful and caring he really is. I mean, he's such a great guy. I mean, he's always, giving gifts and presents and doing things for people. And so, man, we just appreciate you, and thanks for all the good you do, buddy.
And we
guys.
got to say what he's done for the podcast, because when we first started this podcast and we were looking for guests, Jeff would text us all the time. You need to talk to so and so. That would be a great guest. So we've had a number of guests.
Yeah, we certainly have.
That were referrals from Jeff.
That's right.
I feel like you guys had me and Scott Urigal on here for Block Buddy.
We did.
Maybe my mind isn't working correctly. I feel like it was like episode 15 or something. It was
early.
In the very beginning.
One of the originals.
Yep.
And believe it or not, I've gone back and listened to some of those, and we weren't bad.
We did okay.
Even in the beginning.
No way.
Well, all right, Jeff. Thanks again,
Thank you, guys.
Sharon. I think it's a wrap.
Thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Mask. If you enjoy the show and want to help us grow, the best way to support us is simple. Leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, share the show on social media, and tell your friends. Your word of mouth is what keeps us going strong. We're proud to consistently rank in the top 50 medical podcasts nationwide and to be #1 in the CRNA community. All thanks to listeners like you. Your support helps us stay there, and we couldn't do it without you. We'll see you on the next Beyond the Mask.